In every generation, there have been thinkers who understood the hidden currents that move human behavior. Currents that most people never see, never question, and never attempt to control. But among all these thinkers, one name rises above the rest. A name spoken with both admiration and fear: Niccolò Machiavelli. His writings not only shaped the world of politics but also revealed profound truths about human psychology, truths that remain just as relevant today as they were centuries ago. When people hear the term mind control, they imagine hypnosis, manipulation, or secret psychological tricks. But Machiavelli understood something far deeper. Control does not begin in actions, it begins in perception, emotion, and belief. He believed that power is not taken. Power is accepted, offered, even surrendered when the human mind is shaped in the right way. And that is what today's video is about. Not tricks, not manipulation, but the psychology of influence, the architecture of perception, and the strategic wisdom Machiavelli used to read, understand, and guide human behavior. These are the layers of the mind that determine why people obey, why they follow, why they respect authority, and why they often allow others to shape their decisions. You are about to explore the psychological foundation behind Machiavelli's mind control, a concept that is not about forcing people to act, but understanding what governs their actions from within. Whether in leadership, relationships, workplace environments, or social settings, Machiavelli believed that influence is not something you impose. It is something you engineer by understanding human nature. In this video, we will break down the 5 psychological pillars behind this mindset. But before we reach those 5 secrets, we must begin with 2 foundational ideas. The first 2 pillars. Machiavelli believed every powerful person must understand the psychology of perception and the psychology of predictability. These are the roots of influence, the structures without which no strategy, no tactic, no plan can ever work. So take a deep breath, settle into your seat. You're about to enter a journey into the human mind, a journey Machiavelli started 500 years ago, and one that still shapes how leaders, strategists, influencers, and powerful individuals navigate the world today. Part 1. The psychology of perception. How Machiavelli believed people see reality, not as it is, but as they are. Machiavelli understood something timeless. People do not react to truth, they react to perceived truth. Their decisions are shaped not by facts, but by associations, emotions, and interpretations. This was one of his most controversial but accurate insights into human nature. He wrote that humans are guided more by appearances than by authenticity, not because they are foolish, but because the world is too complex to evaluate fully. The human mind simplifies everything into symbols, impressions, and narratives. You do not judge strangers by their full identity. You judge them by the first image, first gesture, first tone, first moment. This is the brain's shortcut to survival. Machiavelli believed that anyone who understands perception understands influence. If you control how someone interprets a situation, you guide their reaction without ever touching their free will. You are not forcing, you are framing. But here is the deeper layer. Perception is not only about what people see, it is about what people expect to see. Their past experiences, fears, desires, insecurities, and biases create filters. Machiavelli believed that to influence someone, you must understand these filters better than they do. You cannot shape perception if you don't understand the emotional DNA behind it. What they admire, what they fear, what they trust, what they avoid, what they crave, what they assume about others. Machiavelli believed that mind control, as we would call it today, begins long before action. It begins with understanding the mental landscape of the person in front of you, not to exploit but to predict and navigate it. He famously said, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, because everyone sees but few can truly understand." In modern terms, this means people judge based on what they witness, not on the hidden truth behind those actions. And those who understand this principle navigate social dynamics with clarity and confidence. Those who don't are constantly misunderstood, misinterpreted, and emotionally manipulated by the world around them, without realizing it. This is why Machiavelli considered perception the first key pillar of influence. Not because you must change people, but because understanding how they see the world allows you to move through it with strategic awareness. Without this awareness, every choice becomes a gamble. Part 2. The psychology of predictability. Why Machiavelli believed human behavior is more predictable than people admit. The second pillar of Machiavellian psychology is predictability, the recognition that human behavior follows consistent emotional patterns. People believe they are unique in their responses, but Machiavelli observed that the same fears, desires, and insecurities repeat generation after generation. People prefer comfort over risk. People fear loss more than they seek gain. People trust confidence more than competence. People follow consistency even when it is wrong. People avoid uncertainty even when the truth is within it. Machiavelli believed that if you understand these universal patterns, you can anticipate reactions before they occur, not in a manipulative way, but in a strategic, self-protective way. Predictability is not about reading minds, it's about reading patterns. He noticed that people show their weaknesses long before they admit them. People reveal their values through their smallest habits. People expose their fears through their reactions to pressure. People display their loyalty through their actions, not their words. To Machiavelli, mind control was never about domination. It was about preparation, knowing how someone is likely to act. So you are never blindsided, never unprepared, never caught off guard. When you understand what drives a person, you understand what limits them. And when you understand what limits them, you understand how to navigate around them. Predictability is the foundation of strategy. You cannot build influence, leadership, or authority if you cannot foresee how people will respond to your presence, your decisions, or your behavior. This principle is so important that Machiavelli believed anyone who fails to understand predictability is not merely uninformed, they are vulnerable. Part 3. The psychology of emotional leverage. Why Machiavelli believed emotion governs every decision humans make. Machiavelli believed that the greatest illusion in human nature is the belief that we make decisions through logic. He argued that reason is rarely the cause, it is usually the excuse. Beneath every belief, every reaction, every conclusion, there lies an emotional trigger that quietly dictates the direction of the mind, and the mind, convinced of its own rationality, simply follows the emotional path without realizing it. According to Machiavelli, every person carries a hidden emotional blueprint. Some people are driven by fear, others by pride. Some crave validation, others crave superiority. Some move toward pleasure, others move away from pain. And yet very few people are aware of these inner forces guiding their actions. They think they are choosing their reactions, when in reality they are following emotional patterns they've been conditioned into since childhood. Machiavelli believed that if you want to understand people, you must understand the emotional currents underneath their words, because people's words may lie, but their emotional reactions never do. The smallest shift in expression, the slightest hesitation in their voice, the speed of their breathing, the sharpness of their tone, all of these are emotional signals, revealing what truly matters to them. But here is what Machiavelli observed with almost scientific precision. People reveal their strongest emotions through 3 cracks in their armor: pressure, uncertainty, and hope. When pressured, fear emerges. When uncertain, insecurity emerges. When hopeful, desire emerges. And in these moments, the emotional blueprint becomes visible. Machiavelli was never interested in controlling emotions. He was interested in understanding them. Because when you understand what someone fears, you understand the limits they will never cross. When you understand what someone desires, you understand the decisions they will inevitably make. When you understand what someone cannot tolerate, you understand the boundaries they will protect at all costs. This, he believed, is the true essence of mind control. Not forcing emotions, not manipulating them, but recognizing the emotional lenses through which people interpret the world. When you recognize those lenses, you unlock the ability to navigate human behavior with clarity and foresight. And those who cannot read emotion, Machiavelli warned, will always misread intention. misjudge loyalty, and misunderstand danger. For Machiavelli, influence is not built on emotional manipulation. It is built on emotional awareness. And emotional awareness is a currency more valuable than knowledge. Because knowledge tells you what people say, but emotional awareness tells you what they mean. Part 4. The Psychology of Strategic Silence. Why Machiavelli believed power grows in the spaces where you say nothing. To Machiavelli, silence was not the absence of words, it was the presence of power. He believed that silence is the most underestimated tool in human interaction, because it forces others to reveal themselves while you remain concealed. Words expose intent, silence conceals it. Words limit possibilities, silence expands them. Words can be used against you, silence can never be misquoted. This is why Machiavelli observed that those who speak too quickly, too emotionally, or too frequently surrender their strategic advantage. They reveal their fears, their hopes, their weaknesses, and their priorities, often without realizing it. They become predictable, readable, and emotionally transparent. But those who master silence gain something far more valuable: control over information. When you speak less, others fill the void with their own assumptions. They project their fears onto your silence, their insecurities onto your calmness, their expectations onto your stillness. In this way, silence becomes a mirror, one that reflects more about the observer than the observed. Machiavelli believed that silence is also the birthplace of observation. When you are silent, you hear the words others rush to say. You notice the details they hope to hide. You observe the contradictions in their behavior. You catch the emotional spikes they try to disguise. Silence sharpens perception, deepens insight, and expands understanding. But there is a deeper layer. Silence is a test. People reveal their true selves when confronted with your silence. Some become nervous. Some become defensive. Some become aggressive. Some become honest. Their reaction to your silence exposes their relationship with their own thoughts. Machiavelli believed that silence is not passive. It is strategic. It is a deliberate act of withholding, observing, and understanding. It allows you to see without being seen, to hear without being heard, and to analyze without being analyzed. In a world where everyone competes to be heard, the one who remains silent stands out, not by volume but by mystery. And mystery, Machiavelli believed, is a form of power more influential than charisma, authority, or intellect. Part 5. The Psychology of Controlled Reactions. Why Machiavelli believed the person who controls their reactions controls the outcome. Machiavelli observed that most people do not respond to situations, they react to them. Their emotions hijack their decisions, their impulses disrupt their clarity, and their temper dictates their outcomes. This is why he believed that controlling your reactions is not just a sign of strength, it is the foundation of power. He believed that every interaction contains two forces: what happens and how you respond to what happens. You cannot always control the first, but you can always master the second. Machiavelli argued that the person who controls their reactions remains unpredictable, unshakable, unreachable by emotional manipulation. When you remain calm in situations that make others panic, you gain authority. When you remain patient while others rush, you gain advantage. When you remain composed while others explode, you gain leverage. But there is a deeper reason why reaction control is so powerful. It breaks emotional chains. When someone tries to provoke you, they want to control your reaction. When someone tries to intimidate you, they want to shape your fear. When someone tries to manipulate you, they want to trigger your insecurity. When someone tries to pressure you, they want to rush your judgment. If you refuse to react emotionally, the chain breaks. The power they tried to exert returns to you. Machiavelli believed that emotional self-control is not about suppression, it is about awareness. It is about understanding what triggers you, what destabilizes you, what threatens you, and what weakens you. When you become conscious of your reactions, you transform them from unconscious impulses into deliberate choices. He also believed that the person who controls their reactions controls the tone of the entire interaction. If you remain calm, the situation becomes calm. If you remain focused, the conversation becomes focused. If you remain centered, the conflict loses its chaos. People subconsciously adapt to the emotional energy of the person who is most composed. This is why Machiavelli considered controlled reactions the hallmark of true influence. Not because it dominates others, but because it liberates you from being dominated by your own emotions. Part 6. The Psychology of Limited Trust. Why Machiavelli believed trust is necessary, but dangerous when given blindly. Machiavelli understood something most people never admit. Humans are not perfectly consistent. They shift with incentives, adapt with circumstances, and change with pressures they never expected. It is not that people are inherently untrustworthy. It is that people are human, guided by their own survival, comfort, fear, and ambition. This is why he believed the wisest individuals give trust the same way they would give a loaded weapon, carefully, deliberately, and only to those who have proved they can carry it without causing harm. To Machiavelli, trust is not a gift. It is an investment. It must yield returns, loyalty, honesty, consistency, or mutual benefit. But he warned that most people waste trust on assumptions rather than evidence, on feelings rather than facts, on hope rather than history. He believed that blind trust is not kindness. It is vulnerability disguised as generosity. He wrote that people often promise more than they deliver, not out of malice, but because they fear disappointing others more than they fear breaking their promises. They choose short-term comfort over long-term integrity. In this way, even good people can become unreliable when pressured. This is why Machiavelli advised that your trust should have boundaries, not barriers. Boundaries allow connection but prevent exploitation. Boundaries allow cooperation but avoid dependency. Boundaries allow openness but protect your core stability. He believed that if you observe how someone behaves in 3 moments, when tempted, when stressed, and when they believe no one is watching, you understand their real character. More than 1,000 conversations could ever reveal. But Machiavelli's real insight was deeper. Trust is not only about others, where it is about yourself. If you trust too easily, you don't just risk betrayal. You lose control of your decisions, emotions, and direction. But if you trust too little, you isolate yourself and cut off the alliances that help you grow. So the wisdom lies in balance. Trust what is consistent. Doubt what is convenient. Believe actions, not intentions. And always keep a part of your power reserved. To Machiavelli, limited trust wasn't a sign of coldness. It was a sign of clarity. It was the ability to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. Part 7. The Psychology of Anticipation. Why Machiavelli believed the greatest power is the ability to see outcomes before they happen. If perception is the foundation, prediction the method, and emotional awareness the engine, then anticipation is the crown of Machiavellian psychology. It is the ability to see beyond the moment, to imagine the chain reaction of every action, every word, every decision. Machiavelli believed that the most powerful people in history were not the strongest or the loudest. They were the ones who anticipated consequences before anyone else even realized. Consequences were forming. To anticipate is to think not 1 step ahead but 3 steps ahead. It is to understand that every choice creates a ripple. It is to recognize that people rarely consider long-term effects. And it is to position yourself where those ripples benefit you instead of drowning you. Machiavelli observed that most people react only when the damage has already been done. They act when forced, decide when pressured, and change when cornered. But he believed the wise act before action is required. They prepare before problems arise. They strengthen relationships before conflicts emerge. They adjust their strategy before the situation demands it. Anticipation is not about fear, and it is about foresight. It is the ability to understand patterns of behavior, patterns of emotion, patterns of consequence. He believed everything in life follows a rhythm. People repeat their habits. Events repeat their cycles. Mistakes repeat their lessons until learned. Opportunities repeat their signals if you learn to recognize them. To anticipate is to break free from the illusion of chaos. It is to see order where others see confusion. It is to see probability where others see surprise. It is to see danger where others see comfort, and to see opportunity where others see obstacles. Machiavelli believed anticipation gives you 3 forms of power. Clarity because you are not blindsided. Control because you act with intention. Calmness because you are not shaken by the unexpected. This is why anticipation is the final pillar of Machiavellian mind psychology, because it turns understanding into strategy and wisdom into direction. The person who anticipates is not just reacting to life, they are curating it. Ending. The Machiavellian conclusion. A powerful closing that ties the entire video together. We have reached the end of this journey, not into the darkness of manipulation, but into the depth of understanding. Machiavelli was not teaching cruelty, nor was he promoting deception. What he observed was the reality of human nature, the fears people hide, the emotions that move them, the patterns they repeat, and the vulnerabilities they pretend not to have. In these 7 parts, we explored the architecture of the human mind through Machiavelli's lens. And perception, the world people see. Predictability, the patterns they follow. Emotional leverage, the feelings that guide them. Strategic silence, the space where truth emerges. Controlled reactions, the mastery of self. Limited trust, the wisdom of boundaries. Anticipation, the foresight of the powerful. These are not tools for control, they are tools for clarity. Tools for navigating a world where people rarely say what they mean, rarely notice their own patterns, and rarely question their emotional habits. These insights empower you not to manipulate others, but to protect yourself, to understand interactions better, and to build a mindset that is resilient, aware, and deeply grounded in reality. Machiavelli believed that true strength does not come from dominating others, and it comes from mastering yourself. When you understand the psychology behind human behavior, you become calmer, sharper, and more strategic. You stop reacting blindly and start responding intentionally. You stop being confused by people's contradictions and start seeing the patterns behind them. In a world full of noise, you become grounded. In a world full of unpredictability, you become prepared. In a world full of emotional chaos, you become centered.